Hello, I'm Chris Rhodes with Handgun Hunting and Field. We just got done putting away all the steel from Handgun Hunters competition, and as promised, after the shoot, I was going to give you a little summary recap of the gear I used and go over some of the features of it that I really like. So, if you've been reading my blog, which if you haven't, you should go to handgunhuntingafield.blog and catch up there before you watch this. There's a lot of information there on all these products that I've been using over the year and years. And give you some ideas going forward before you get to this summary review. But anyways, in brief, I stumbled upon Spohr at SHOT Show, was blown away by their construction. The machining of this whole product is crazy. It's just phenomenal. It blew me out of the water, and say Thomas Spohr did a good job on his design here. Basically taking an L-frame Smith & Wesson design and fixing everything that could possibly be wrong with it and totally machining every single part. Phenomenal firearm. And they're coming out with larger calibers here shortly. In January, roughly, they'll have a 44 out. They're also coming out with something smaller, a 22, which is going to be a big hit, I think. A lot of target shooters will love that, a lot of small game hunters. Right now, we have the 286 models, or the 28 series, or 357 chamberings. They also do 9mm. I've had a lot of questions on the 9mm guns. I haven't been able to answer them. So I got one of their 9mm in a carry model on the way. That gun's also going to be used to roll out one of the new Ultradot products coming out later this summer. Something much smaller than what you see here by Ultradot. But in short, this gun's awesome. It's shot well. You can see that in the blogs. You can see that in the videos. You can see that on the Facebook videos of me shooting these things out to 160 or so yards. I didn't do any just cylinder dumping, round dumping reviews. I did all extreme accuracy with it. And what I mean by extreme accuracy is distance. A lot of people don't look at a handgun as a over 50-yard thing. I look at them as no limit, do whatever I want to do. But typically I shoot out there around 200 yards with them. And there's some videos out there of me doing so. And shooting steel targets out that far, varmints and so forth. And I've taken some game with it already. We got the gun in a little too late for our big game seasons here in Wyoming. So we did a high fence hunt in Texas to get a little hunting under its belt and take some of the first bucks taken with one. Took some Axis black buck and a ram type species down there, and we'll post those pictures up here behind me where you can see them in the video. But I'm still blown away by the whole accuracy of this thing here. What I was looking for when I retired was that out of the box package that I could tell one of my previous customers to get, and these new handgun hunters, where they don't have to wait on a custom gun being made. And I think I found it. I mean, I've tried coarse and I've tried everything else. This gun's just there. I prefer a double action design, and a lot of people do prefer a double action design over a single. A lot of us find them easier to shoot. The grip design's a little better for some of us. There's nothing wrong if you prefer a single action. I prefer a double action design. But anyways, they've done some great things in making these optics ready. Even on the standard 286 model, like I got my wife, it's still drilled and tapped right here. Takes standard 648 screws. This is an EGW Smith & Wesson scope base on here, drop right in. This competition model also has a nice rail in the front. You could mount some kind of small reflex sight up here or whatever. To balance this gun better, I'm using an Ultradot. So it's a little bit bigger red dot, the tube design. I put that in the rear to balance the gun out. Worked out great. EGW base, nice lightweight aluminum rings, aluminum base. Works well. The trigger pull on this gun's phenomenal. On the coated gun, it took around 50 to 100 rounds to slick up the inside. On the stainless gun that I got my wife, it was right out of the box, ready to go. They sit between 2.5 and 2 3/4 pounds in single action, and the double action's smooth. There's no slack, there's no take up. They run. They've done some great things in their design that I want to cover. One of the biggest things I like is they did a 2-piece barrel design, and you're seeing this more and more in the industry. So all this heavy machining is on an outer shroud. All this millwork, and then the barrel itself, as you can see here, is just a round barrel. It's turned round to fit inside that shroud. This lets all that machining stress be on this outer shroud, and it's much easier to reduce the stress on the barrel by just doing round turning versus doing all that extra milling on like the barrels you see from some of the Smith & Wesson Performance Center guns with the rails made into them. There are Smith & Wessons and Rugers and so forth that use the shrouded barrel design. This is more refined in the machining levels than some of those would be. Very nice setup there using a shrouded barrel design. I like their cylinder release. It's about the same width as the recoil shield, but yet it gives a great purchase like a lot of the race gun type releases do. It's not so wide that it's going to have holstering problems. I believe this will work out fine in the concealed carry model. I'll know more shortly once I get that new model in and I get a custom leather holster made for it and such. It should also fit 686 type holsters. But then this gun would fit a 686 competitor's holster, and the 286 standard I have for my wife fits a regular 686 holster just fine. But say this cylinder release here is nice and thin, yet it gives a great purchase. It has a good natural angle to it. What I mean by natural is it fits the natural fall of my thumb against it. So I get a good purchase. I'm not having to turn sideways or dig my thumb in. I can just lay my thumb on it and get a good purchase on this cylinder release and activate it well. Also has very good, what's the right term for it? Biting grip texture, but it doesn't bite in. It just really sticks to your thumb. I'm getting a great purchase on it, but it's not overly aggressive like some really heavy checkering may be. They use that same serrations on their hammer. Their hammer is nice and wide, so you can get a good purchase on it. I know even with some light thin gloves I might use when I'm hunting with a handgun in the colder weather here in Wyoming, I'm going to be able to get a good purchase on the hammer to cock the hammer back. So it worked out great. And it's worked out great so far. I've been hunting primarily with just bare hands because it's been warmer, and I've been shooting with bare hands. It's been warmer. It's grabbed well, even with sweaty hands. Their trigger design and shape I find to be phenomenal. They have an over travel stop in there. I always back that out because I don't want a sudden stop at the end of my trigger pull. To me, that leads to you dipping the muzzle when you have that sudden stop. You're slamming the back of the trigger guard with that trigger stop. But their design here, this little bend they have right here in the trigger in the front, gives me a nice memory spot to put that finger where I can feel pressure in just all the right ways and get great trigger press on this. It helps me position my finger the same way every time. I love that sweeping design of the front. It's phenomenal. It's a great trigger. I would grind a lot of my Smith triggers that way to give that, and it's already that way out of the box. I like that. So there's custom features in this I already like in a production gun. And that's what I always wanted to find for my past customers and these new handgun hunters coming out. Where can they get a gun and not have to wait 4 months, 2 years, whatever, for a custom to get what they want? Great features with all these little bits on there. If you want to shoot iron sights with it and don't want to run optics like I am here, very simple. They come with LPA sights, so it's got a Bowmore wide rib on top, or wide blade, excuse me, and it screws down to the top. Great sight. LPAs are used by a lot of guys on revolvers. They're wonderful sights. They have a really good front sight. If you decide you wanted something else, they do offer different front sights. Their plain black one without, this is their adjustable front for height. But if you got their plain black and if you needed something out of this, out of the ordinary made, maybe you wanted gold bars or you wanted a gold bead or something that maybe Spohr doesn't make or doesn't make yet, one of these U.S. custom gunsmiths could knock that out for you on that blank. And it should be pretty reasonable. It'd be pretty easy to do if you could provide them the blank, order from Germany, take it over to them. It shouldn't be a big deal. Let's say the gun works well, all the chambers are uniform, every chamber shoots the same point of aim, point of impact. There's no flyers with it, right out of the box and go. I literally bolted a scope mount to it, mounted my Ultradot, and I put on grips. It comes with good grips. As you've seen in the past, I really like Hogue big butts. Now I found something I like more. Thomas Spohr and them sent me these grips over from Nil. They're starting to use Nil grips or make Nil grips an option on their guns. They fit like a glove. I don't know how Nil does it, but I can't over torque the grip. I can't over grip this thing. It just won't let me do it. And somehow this grip fits my 2XL hand and my wife's size small hand. I don't know how they do that either. With the Hogue big butts or with these Nils, what I like to do, so when I'm shooting longer ranges, say over 100 yards in the field, I want some kind of support. I use a small bag. This is a Coltac biddy bag, but I could place it on anything, a tree, a log stump, rock, whatever. And I can just put real light pressure and I can rest on the bag, get steady my hands, and the gun will just roll. It'll track on there with these longer grips versus one where my hand might end touching the bag and make it twist a little funny on the bag. It gives me that. Plus also I can get a good two-handed purchase. There's somewhere for that lower finger to go. Having a good repeatable grip and good follow-through is really important in shooting farther with a handgun. So once again, when I'm hunting with one, I'm not shooting just traditional defensive ranges. I'm not shooting archery distances. I'll use a handgun out to 200 yards with an appropriate bullet on appropriate game. I even took an elk this past year at 220 yards with a 460 Smith & Wesson and an Ultradot. So distance, I don't really limit myself there, and I just limit myself with my cartridge and stuff, and match it to the game. But the nail grips have been phenomenal. The gun's been phenomenal. The optic, this is the brand new Ultradot Match Dot 2 in green from Ultradot there. It's been great. One of the big features on it I really like is they put on-offs between each brightness setting. I prefer this rheostat type setting versus the buttons on some of like the reflex sights. I've run a lot of Trijicon SROs as well. These are so much faster. And now having the on-off in between. So if I think that I'm going to be needing, like say brightness 4, it's on right now, and if I need to cut it off, it's off. You know, I can go and cut it back on with just one click versus having to spin it all the way around like the old models. I ran one of their older models in red dot on my Valcorson 22 in Handgun Hunters Competition 2. Great sight. I dialed my drops. The turret repeats 1 minute clicks, just like on the older Match Dot 2, 1 minute clicks. Traction repeats, does what it's supposed to do. The green dot showed up well on targets. I was able to shoot this in the bright sunlight and into the shadows without any issues. It just worked. So with that, we kind of hit on the bags a little bit too. The Coltac Biddy bag has been great for me. It's the lightest bag of its type that I've found. It's well designed. Even this little loop here, I can find great ways to use this to gain support. If you can see what I'm doing here, pushing into something. So like if I'm pushing in to the front of a tree stand or into a fence or whatever it may be, this gives me support and lets me steady my hands. Then when I'm shooting a little farther that way, and also I can still say rest it on rock sticks, whatever, logs, prone, and do so. I tried this one out. This was great. I can't remember the name of the bag. I just got a friend run it down there for the match the other day. This is a new squishy material. This can form the shapes really well. So like when I put it on some odd rest, it let me do the same thing and it would make itself fit in there. Really neat bag. I probably won't use it hunting because it's so big, but it works great for them odd positions in the shooting games. This is one you can't get anymore. My wife made these and we gave these away with the custom builds I was doing. This is our little flat bag we made. It's ballistic nylon just like these. Coltac if you're watching. Anyone make this? A little bit smaller, a little flatter, gets in tighter spots. It's filled with, this is filled with like little airsoft BBs. Works great. Great little bags. That's my basic kit there. But say everything is a systems approach. Gun, grips, optics, shooting bags, shooter. You gotta have good ammo too. So when I ran in Handgun Hunters Competition, I ran the 105 cutting edge. My hand loads are published online on my blog at handgunhuntingafield.blog, and you can look those up. The 105 is, all of their bolt pistol bullets are extremely accurate. Almost no recoil. These things kill great. The wound channels were awesome on game with these. It's just phenomenally accurate load. If you look at this here, this is their 500 Smith & Wesson one. You can see how they got these seal type bands. If you know anything about reloading and bullets, you got a good idea how that reduces bore drag, and you can achieve so much more velocity with these. Velocity gets it there a whole lot quicker, a whole lot flatter, and it does really, really well. The accuracy is just phenomenal. If you watch any of the rifle stuff, you know that those King of the 2 Mile events and all that, if they want to win, they're running cutting edge bullets with that same technology as in their pistol bullets. If you're serious about hunting, you ought to look at these. It's taken a long time for a projectile to really impress me. I use Sierras forever, and I've killed a lot of game with Sierra. They're Sierra jagged hollow cores with jagged hollow point design. These kill better than those, and those have just sold me for 20 plus years, and now I can't go back, and they work wonderful. I can't say enough good about them. They're so accurate, they kill so well, and they're dropping game faster for me. And they perform great at Handgun Hunters Competition. I had no issues at all. The whole package deal here, gun, ammo, optics, bags, grips, has been just amazing. I can't say enough good about it. I don't have anything bad to say about it. Everything here works. You can look at my other blogs and stuff about the different optics that are by Ultradot. They have multiple models out. There's a lot of stuff there. Spohr's pretty new to the U.S. market. I still got some good blogs on there about that. You got lots of info going back over the hunting with it and so forth, target shooting. There's a lot to read on this on my blog, on handgunhuntingafield.blog. The nail grips I'm still really new to. I'm putting them on all my Smith & Wessons that I'm still hunting with. And I'll be hunting with those Smiths until Thomas Spohr starts kicking out the big guns. Hopefully a 44 here around January, February. And then hopefully it keeps going bigger so I can replace all the Smiths with them because they just shoot. right out of the box, complete accuracy, nothing to tune up, ready to run. So if you have any questions for me, you can email me at handgunhuntingafield@gmail.com. You can read a whole lot more on the blog at handgunhuntingafield.blog. Look forward to bringing you more content, and have fun out there shooting.